everyone, and welcome to part two of Love Unfiltered. If you haven't watched the first part, I highly suggest that you go ahead and go do that. Why? Because we are going to talk in this episode a little bit about what twin flame, karmic, soulmate is, and we explained all of that in part one. If you've ever experienced a soul connection or this is the first time you're hearing it, part one covers what that is, how to know if you're in one, how to spot the signs, and everything else. Part two is where we really get into the gushy juice, tea, all of the above here in this part. So, without further ado, welcome to part two of Love Unfiltered.
And with that, I feel that is two people that are readers that have had their own experiences in this world. Something that I find really interesting are those of you that are single and interested in dating.
Mm.
I
Dun,
think that
dun.
brings us to like cue
Zen
like
and
the
Juice
investigative music.
investigates
Yeah. So
worldwide.
we
Zen
have
and
this
Juice
fun segment
investigates.
that we're calling Zen and Juice Investigates. It's where Zen and Juice, me, we really get down the rabbit hole and we do some like whether we are researching or we're putting ourselves into the experiment to really get firsthand experience of like, okay, what is this? Maybe we're not educated on the topic or we want to know more. We get in there and we investigate what it's like. And so I think our first one is quite a doozy. And so Zen and Juice Investigates brings you online dating. So as a preface before we get into it and I turn it over to Zen, um, we wanted as readers, people are always asking us, where can I find somebody? I'm ready to date. Where do I find them? Where do I go? Online dating has been growing for years, right? And I do feel like the first time it was like eHarmony, Match.com, and now you have Bumble, Tinder, Plenty of Fish, Hinge, Coffee Meets Bagel, blah, 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 blah. And oh,
Blah,
Farmers
blah, blah.
Only, whatever you want to call it, everything you can think of, there's a dating app for it, Raya. And so,
ChristianMingle.com.
yeah, and so what we wanted to do is, well, first, I guess I should preface this. We're doing this for experimental purposes. We just wanted to say, okay, if
Experiment.
we told you guys to do online dating, what would that be like? I personally have no interest in dating. But I wanted to see what this is like. I've heard stories. I'm like, I need to understand this before like I tell you guys. Zen also has put herself out there just to see what is it like out there? Is this viable for you guys? We hear stories, we hear all sorts of things, and so we were curious. So diving in, Zen and myself for about a month, a little over a month, we've been just kind of seeing what the online dating world is like. Um, and I'm curious then, like about your experience, how you decided to approach everything. What are your findings? Like, I would love to hear that from you and what your conclusions are with online dating.
I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it. Every time I do it, it makes me feel worse about myself than I already did if I was feeling bad.
No, yeah.
Let me tell you what I don't like. I don't like that every time I swipe, I see a dead deer or a dead fucking fish or antlers gutted across the damn screen. I don't like when I swipe and I see men wearing nothing. Put your clothes back on. Where did your clothes go? Why are we taking this is not a bodybuilder's competition. Nobody's elaborating on your physique like that. And every time I see somebody that like scandalously posts themselves, I automatically think, okay, yep, you're not the person for me. Like this is, and then, and perhaps the best part is the ones that continue to humble me, that think that they have a chance, baby. And you know what I'm talking about. It's those, I don't even know, 60-year-old chum buckets. I don't even know what you want to call them.
Those are the only ones interested in me.
I literally cannot handle it. It's like it's the cringiest thing. And
I mean,
this
should you be flattered that they thought they could have a chance, or should you be appalled that they thought they could have a chance?
appalled because of the age difference. Appalled. Like, I don't know. I get
Maybe
it.
they
Like
wanted
some
a
people
sugar
are into
baby.
it. I understand some people are into it, but like I just turned 30 and you're 65. Like my grandma just turned 70 this year. Like
I mean, they try it. So, what
it
would
was
you
awful. I
have you
hated
had
it.
any? Well, have you had any interactions? Have you talked to anyone? Like, did you try to give anybody the benefit of the doubt, or were the conversations flat? I'm
The
curious.
conversations were
I'm
awful.
curious
I
if
felt
you could
like
get past.
I couldn't get past anything because, and I don't know. I don't want, I promise I'm a good human being. I promise. But I need an intellectual man. And I just have not found that on these dating websites. It's just not there. I don't know. What do I have to go to? HarvardSinglesOnly.com? You tell me. I don't know. But I can't find a man that can form a goddamn sentence, put a comma where it's supposed to go, put a period where it's supposed to go. Two, two, two. Tell me the difference there, there, there. Don't get me wrong. I understand sometimes when I get my I's, my E's, my I before E except after C. I'm a onomatopoeia. I get it. But I need a little effort. I need a little pizzazz. I don't need a, if I say to you, like, what are
Yeah.
your plans this weekend? And you're hitting me back up with nothing. Ha 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 ha.
Oh
Nothing.
God.
Ha 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 ha. What do you mean nothing? Ha 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 ha. Okay, well, nothing, ha ha ha, because I never want to speak to you again. Vanish, poof from existence. Hasta la vista, get the fuck out of here. If there's one thing that I do love about it, the one thing that I have enjoyed from this experience is putting men down. I do enjoy just saying no, 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 no. And I don't think that there's been anybody that I've thought really stood a chance yet. And there's nobody that I've like interacted with past like one or two sentences simply because I'm just like, I feel like I'm on a cycle. Like I feel like I'm flipping through channels here,
Yeah.
and like it's like the same prompts, it's the same this, it's the same that. Like, how many times are you gonna tell somebody your favorite color is blue?
Yeah.
I just can't like, and it's those people that start out with those one-liners with like that because that's really kind of all of the hits that I've gotten. That I'm just kind of like no, or like they're complimenting me on my body and I'm like, okay, so you want to fuck, and then I'm like, okay, so I'm not even going to respond anyways. So what I'm looking at these people and what I'm understanding is they're solely going based off of beauty, um and most of these people that I've
Do
experienced, God,
when you were swiping, do you go off of the pictures, or do you take the time to read their bio?
I take the
Or
time to
does
read
their
the
picture
bio.
catch? Yeah.
Bio is
Do you feel like any
huge.
of them have good bios, or do you feel like that's not really a thing?
Yeah, and then like the ones that I swiped that did have good bios, I never heard back from. Minus that one guy, but I haven't messaged him yet because I'm kind of too nervous. So there is that one guy, but I haven't messaged him back yet. Doesn't mean that I want one guy. I might if you see this, and I hope you never do. We'll probably never speak, but
But in the event, so what
in
would
the
you
event
say
that
are
you ever
like,
do see this, not that you
so what
know who
would you
you
say are
are
your
anyways.
conclusions? Like, would you recommend it? Would you do it again? Would you actually do this again and take it seriously? I'm not saying that you didn't take it seriously, but
If you're looking for
you know.
long-term love, no, do not do it. I don't know if it's really, I don't want to say yes and I don't want him to say no because I'm sure that there are plenty of other people out there who have given it a good shot, but I mean, you're really, it's a diamond in the rough. You're such a trash from treasure here, people,
Yeah.
and that's the part that it gets hard for. So it's like, I'm not going to sit here and tell you to give every single person that you see a shot. And I would say that if you're going to do online dating, please use your gift of discernment. Don't get love bombed. Recognize the red flags and openly communicate
Mm-hmm.
and know when to walk because these people are weird as fuck.
Mm-hmm. No,
No offense.
it's true.
Weird, weirdos. How about you? What was it like for you?
Okay. So first let me say that because I decided we said we were gonna do this, I was like, I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna do my best. I cannot guarantee I will meet anybody off of it. Like not like for a relationship, but like genuinely like just have coffee with you. Like I don't know because to be honest, I'm not looking for anybody. I'm not looking for a relationship. I just not. Anyway, but what I will say is because I went in, I said I would give somebody, and I ended up giving two people a phone call. Fucking mistake.
You gave people a phone call? I didn't even get that far. You brave bitch. Tell me all
Hold
about it.
on. Yes, I agree with everything you said. I realized that one, this makes me feel really body conscious about myself. I don't like it. Two, men only want kind of like one thing, or they can't uphold a conversation, or they come across smart, but they can't conversate, and I can't stand it. Or I realized like I just don't, not saying that I'm against anybody that has children, but like I just don't have a maternal instinct. And a lot of the men in my area have like three kids plus, and that's not for me.
I don't want no
Or
baby mama
old men.
drama.
I will tell you, every old ass man, 60 or above, in this tri-state area will like to have it shot. And one guy looked like an alien and said he was like empathic. So I just started to talk to him because I was like, you look like an alien. I want to know if extraterrestrials exist. But it's the same thing. They don't have good bios. They can't keep a conversation. It dies out. And I will say that if any of them were like, add you on Snapchat, no. I don't have a Snapchat. No,
Oh
you
my
are
God.
immediately a fuck boy. If you ask for a Snapchat,
Immediate.
you're immediately a fuck boy.
If you ask me for my snap, you're a fucking red flag, bitch. Yes, I'm talking to you.
Yeah. And
I
I
know
was
what
just
you're
like, no.
after. I know what you're
I was like,
after,
no.
bucko.
So I will say that like it's boring. I don't like anybody. I didn't want to date anybody. Had no intention. Like I still have no intention of dating anybody. I'm not ready. Um, Nor do I want to. But what I will say is that the two people that I did give a shot, this one guy seemed really nice. He talked about wanting to have his own homestead. I said, cool. He was like, can I call you? I'm on a long drive. I said, cool. I can give you 30 minutes of my time. Check it off my list that I did it. This whole guy talked about having a homestead, wanted me to work on it, wanted me, he had all of these animals picked out, was like, oh, I'm sure you want to wake up early in the morning and bell hay. Doesn't that sound great?
What?
I was like, what? he's like milking their own cows, and he's like, oh yeah, you can have draft horses, but they have to work. And he's like, you can't get attached to any of the cows because they're gonna go for slaughter. And basically wanted labor and had this whole thing depicted about this. And then I was like, he's like, do you have a dog? And I go, well, obviously, yes, I have a dog. And he's like, well, what is she? A Great Pyrenees. Well, you're okay with her living out with the sheep, right? I'm like, my dog is like 8 years old. She's an old lady. Like, she lives in the house. Like, she's not gonna go be with the sheep. Well, your
What?
neurotic dog that you just say pisses on the bed gets to live in the house. And you're telling me my dog has to go outside? And because your dog's like, what is wrong with you? And this is the
I
first
go,
conversation. Immediately, I was like, oh my gosh, I
what the
forgot to pay my
fuck?
phone bill and I hung up my phone. I literally said I forgot to pay my phone bill and I hung up the phone and never has spoken to this man since. It was gross, it was atrocious, and it was just like absolutely not. So
Absolutely
then
not.
the second person that I decided, I was like, I'll talk to you for just a minute. Again, no intention of meeting them, not wanting this. I was like, I'll give you a phone call. This person, you could tell from the get, was like trying to say all of the right things, trying to act like emotionally, like, what are your love languages? I want to be like this, like that. And it was just like over the top, trying to like say everything I wanted them to say. But it was like, what does your body look like? Can I see a full body photo? No. If anybody asks me for a full body photo because you need to see it again, you're out. You're out. You're out.
Out.
You're out.
Out.
And he was like, oh, well, what are you doing? I can come get you. Let's go. Like, he's like, what are you doing? I'm gonna go here for breakfast. Come. And I'm like, what? I'm like, I don't even know you. And you could just tell there was so much hookup, trying to bring up sexual stuff, then trying to say the right things, that he's not into it and looking for a long-term partner. And did I ever, dream of my wedding? And it was red flag, red flag, red flag. And I was just like, I don't know, my intuition's going off. And then you're like, oh yeah, I couldn't get into the Navy SEALs because I was 5'5". And I was like, height doesn't mean anything to me, but you have short man syndrome. And that was an immediate no. I will say he also tried really hard. When I said, no, I don't want to meet up. I don't know you. I'm not comfortable. I don't even really want, like, I'm not sure I even want to do this.
Yeah.
um Again, experimental purposes. He was like, well, you make decisions all the time at work, and if you wanted to make the time for me, you would. I was like, and he's like, I'm not going to beg you to meet with me. then the next
What?
day then the next day was like trying to talk to me, and I was like done. I was out. I was like, absolutely no. So what I will say for my findings are, I'm really sorry. I feel like there are probably some really good men out there. I tend to attract old men, men that have mental, um men that are mental, or those that have like physical deformities, which I don't mind. I'm not against those that have physical deform at all. Those just seem to be the ones that are drawn to me. And I will say that if you're looking for a hookup, it's a good place to be. If you're going without any expectations and you like just to talk to people, go for it. It is not for me. Um, like you, Meg, I like to be intellectually stimulated. I am very, 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 very picky. And even the men that I even decided to talk to would not even pass the check. Um, and I feel like for those of you that did meet your partner on a dating app, was this pre 2020? And if
Yeah, was
so,
this
was
like
it the
pre
first go
2020?
or when the
You met
app
your
first
partner on a
launched?
dating app. Was that pre 2020 COVID era? Because honestly, I started online dating around that time, and every online dating that I've ever done has been a dumpster fire. Every one of them.
Yeah. and I'm like excited to delete my profiles. So it's not for me. It triggered a lot of self-esteem issues. It triggered a lot of me feeling crazy. Like maybe I have high expectations. Maybe I'll be alone forever. And then I had to remind myself, like, one, I'm not even ready for this. Like, I have a whole different story to tell you guys outside of here
It was
why I'm
just
not
too
ready, but
much.
it's just too much. And it just like, it wasn't fun. It wasn't entertaining. Talking to all these people wasn't fun. It was draining. It drained my energy. I was tired. And I was just like, no.
You know
So
what?
I,
It took me back to like my energy of my 20s, of like younger me, like like teen me, you know, like when you were like going out and you were drinking, or like you were, you know, like just dating and things like that. Like younger me is like what
mhm.
it felt like. And I'm just like, ugh, no.
Yeah. So for those of you guys that do online date, I think you can understand that our consensus was like, this was cool to really investigate and be like, okay, is this something that we would recommend? Is this something that we would tell you guys to do? I think for us, it wasn't for us. If it was for you, we'd love to hear your online stories. If you met a partner, met a boyfriend, found really good friends being online, please share those with us and let us know. Our experience may be different because again, like we were doing this for experimental purposes. um but we would love to hear if you had a different outcome. um Super open ears, because
Super.
for me, I'm out skis. Nope, 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 not for me.
No, 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 it's not for us. No, no, no.
So
But
with that being said, because we talked about, oh wait, you were going to say something.
no, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. So because we were talking about like if we would recommend this or not, I think it leads us to a really good place because we do give advice often in what we do. So what advice would you tell your younger self? Like you said, it felt like you were back in your 20s. If you could tell, if you could give yourself, younger self, if you could give your younger self love advice, what advice would you give yourself?
Mm, I would go all the way back to 14. 14 is when it would start. I would go back, and that would be the girl that I had a conversation with, because that was like the year that my life was never the same. Like the reality of the veil was broken off after 14, like completely. There was no innocence left. And I would go back and I would tell her, you have so much that you're going to go through, but you have no idea the bad bitch that you're gonna be on the other side. No, I'm just playing.
A bitch.
But I would seriously tell her, like, um, well, there's a lot I would tell her. If I had the ability to do it and it would change, if I had the ability to do it and had the circumstances to like make a better life for her to live like a different lifestyle than I did, I would say you need to go get your thyroid checked right away. If you don't, you're going to eat yourself into like really bad obesity to the point that you're pre-diabetic and the doctor's like, we need to put you on something because you're borderline diabetes. And I'm like, you know, so there are a lot of things that I would tell her, but when it comes to love in general, the reason I kind of say that is like your whole life, your body was love. And I mean that so wholeheartedly. Like, don't feel the need to pick yourself apart for a man, or or your relationship, or if you look too thin or too thick, or um that was really hard for me. My whole life I feel like I always use my body to kind of like compare my value and to compare my worth. So
Mhm.
I wish I could go
Same.
back and tell her, like, you didn't need to do that. Like, you really, really didn't need to do that. And that was a hard lesson that I had to learn. Being able to tell people no and not over explaining why I say no, and just like, no is no. I don't want to do something. I'm sorry. Like, I don't even have to tell you why. And
Mhm.
I always felt like I over had to complicate and explain. Um, I would tell younger me to know where her energy is valued and to know where her energy is not valued. And regardless of whatever that place may have been, remove yourself from it because it's not healthy for your mental space. And in order to
Mhm.
live a wealthy lifestyle, you have to have healthy mental health. Um, so I think that those are kind of some of the things that I would tell her. I would tell her to be a little bit more of a bit. Well, she was a bitch, but she was a bitch. She was. I look back at her. She was a scrapper. But I would tell her, like, when it comes to love, like, stand your ground. Why are you crying over men
Mhm.
that don't deserve it? Why are you crying over men that don't deserve it? Because I never understood that. Like, I have to fix this relationship. I have to fix this relationship. We've been together for so long. Like, this has to be fixed. No,
Mhm.
the fuck, it does not. And that is a stigma that needs to be vanquished.
Yeah.
Duration does not equal staying in a relationship.
No, yeah.
How
No,
about
for
you?
sure. Um, I can ditto your body comment. Um, and like, because I'd either let it get in the way, or I would use it as like a block, or I would use it as a butt, or um, what have you. But I would truly, truly tell younger me, um, to go into therapy early and work through your parental trauma,
Mm,
because I have allowed people to love me. No, let me rephrase that. I have allowed myself to love people that had no business loving me, or wanting to love me, or did love me, or in my, in my energy. Um, and it was because I didn't see my self-worth, and to sit there and work on my self-worth, and to work on, who I am, before even entertaining anyone from the romantic space. I would also tell her it's overrated. Having a boyfriend or being in a relationship or all of this is overrated.
overrated,
To
girlfriend.
Like, you think you have issues, or you think you have problems, or you're whatever you have going on, add that by two, right? So like, you have to buy groceries, you're buying groceries for another person. You have struggles with like abandonment, there's somebody else that has their own struggles, and it's not easy. And I would tell her, you need to get yourself correct before you ever open the gate. And I would also say, the moment that they show you their colors, it's time to go. It's
It's
time to
time to
either say,
run.
hey, look, you've got to flip it off, or it's time to go. And I will
Yes.
say, this isn't necessarily younger me, but this is me a few years ago. Be vulnerable, be open, say what you want, be blunt with what you're looking for and what you want, because that will
Yes.
fuck you over. And having to repair that within yourself, or then get up the courage to then tell the person and not feel rejected, or all of that, then there's all these other things that you have to work through. But if you're out of the gate and you're like, look, I'm looking for this is what I want, and if you're not it, reject me. Don't be scared of that,
Turn
because
blank.
why go months down the road when it would have ended in the beginning, and you wouldn't have had to go through all of that heartache or burn that you did? And the most important piece that well, there's two. One of the most important pieces that I feel like is important to tell myself is that, how do I want to say this? Is that if the person that you are interested in cannot make the time for you, or try to understand your emotions, or try to put forth effort, it's not your job to fix their issues. It is not your job to help them. It is not your job to make things better for them. And my whole life is I'm a humanitarian. I want to help. I want to fix. I want to make your life better. And potential is only that, potential. Falling in love with somebody's potential and not also what they show you and negating what they show you will only lead to heartache. If you see red flags in the beginning, you can learn to grow to like you can say like there's issues, but I'm going to still like learn to grow to love them. And my friend Liz um recently brought this up and she said, "Girl, she's like if you see a red flag, you know you have to the strongest thing you can do is walk away even though it's enticing to you because once you let a person grow on you, they're kind of there for the long haul until you can break that attachment and leave. Because then you're learning to love the red flags, you're learning to love the trauma, you're learning to love the ups and downs." And to me, that was such like a little nugget, but it was so profound to me because I can look back on times where I loved somebody's potential, I overlooked the red flags, and then we went down a whole rabbit hole. And really, it all stems from me not loving myself.
Right.
And
This
if I
all
had loved
comes back
myself
to.
and I asked, I'm getting heated. If I had said, this is what I deserve in a relationship, this is what I will accept. And if you want to give me anything below that, you've got to go. You've got to go. And if you don't want to work through your trauma, just like I know that I have to work through mine, you've got to go. Like it's just not, it's not because once you're in it and you learn to love someone and you justify and you get down in it, breaking free of that or trying to remove yourself, it's hard. And sometimes I don't know if you ever
Yes.
get through it, but that's
I
what
don't
I
know if
would
you
say.
do.
And the very, very last, most important piece is something that my mama has always, always told me, and it stands true, is she said, the best you're ever going to see of somebody is when you're dating them because they're still trying to get you to want them and they're going to show you their best. She's like, the moment you marry
Yes.
them, those things are just going to amplify and that wanting to win you over, doing all these things to have you, that's out the window because they already have you. And then the real person shows up. So she's like, whatever you see that's an issue while you're dating, amplify that by two, three, four, and that's going to be in the marriage. And that's just like always stuck with me. Um, and I wish instead of being like a stubborn asshole, I would have really listened to my mom sooner on that one.
It's hard not to. It's just it's a canon experience, you know? And
Hmm.
and speaking of canon experiences, I feel like unfortunately there are times where people come to us for readings and we're like, "Oh gosh, they're in a canon experience." Like, we're gonna have to break the news on this one. So I was kind of curious when it comes to like the tarot portion of things, what do you feel like are things that you absolutely cannot stand about doing love readings? Like what do you hate that just drives you nuts?
Everything. Um, no, I will say the thing that drives me absolutely crazy, um, is not understanding that being in a relationship with somebody is you have a whole other person, a whole other being, a whole other um like human that has their own wants, needs, journey, healing, this, that, and the other. And I find that when people come to me for readings, they want what they want it how they want it, and they want the other person to do it, and they want to hear that that person is going to do it and bring it to them the way that they want it done. And if I'm going to be completely honest with you, that drives me nuts because you're not coming to me for a reading. You're not coming to understand your partner. You're not coming to like really figure out if this is going to work or not. You're coming because you want what you want. and you come over and over and over. And it's because you're not listening to the advice given. You want to do what you want anyway. And I know this is kind of blended into several things, but it's like one, not understanding that your partner is a whole other human being with their own free will. Secondly, is that you keep repeating the same patterns and the same issues, and you're giving advice to heal it, and you choose not to. And then
Mhm.
you're wondering like why it didn't go well. And then again, it's just like repeating and not listening. And three, it's you not doing the healing and the self-work. You're never going to have a healthy
Yes.
relationship when you're unhealthy and you're toxic. And four, it's you not wanting to understand your partner because again, it's not just you, it's your partner. And for me, the purpose of a love reading is you want to know like if they're going to reach out, etc. Like granted, that's human nature, but it's also like you also have to be a good partner, and you also have to make sure that you and them are a good fit, whether it's a he, she, them, they, whomever. You also have to understand your partner. If you guys keep having the same fights, or they keep saying you're pushy, or they keep saying, you're being too clingy or whatever, you need to understand that. And you need to say, hey, is this something that I'm willing to fix to work on to have this relationship? Or is this person not accepting me for who I am and I need to find somebody else? Because that's where you get the root issue. And that's where you decide if somebody is worth your time or not worth your time. And I
Yes.
don't, and I know you have your own spiel that we'll get into, but I struggle with telling people if this is worth it for them or not because I may feel like it's not worth it, but some people want to go through the heartache. Some people just want this person so badly that they don't care and they're going to go through the pain. And if that's what they choose that they want, that's fine. But understand that, like, the universe is going to do what the universe does. And if you don't listen or you're not doing the work, they're going to put obstacles up. And I feel like people don't understand that. And love isn't easy. And I know that there are a lot of love readers out there that are like whipping them out, but I'm like, if you're really getting into the core of like love, it's two human beings that are trying to make something work. You don't become one amoeba. You don't find love and you guys are this one entity. You're still two different people that blend and have a part of your life and a part of your wants and a part of your desires together, but you're still separate human. And I
Exactly.
get really frustrated because I don't feel like people want to do the work. I don't think people understand how energy works. I think they just want to come and have a psychic be like, I'm going to find somebody Wednesday of January 2025. And that person's going to come and we're happily ever after. And we're like, whatever. And that's not how it rolls out. So I will digress and leave that here. But I'm curious with you
Well,
what yours are.
you've summed a lot of what I have to say up because every bone that you've picked, I'm picking the same bone. So I just want to back what you say really quick. Um, Other things that drive me nuts. Obviously, some of the questions that people ask are truly bizarre, like truly bizarre. And I wish that they would just take some time to look at themselves and remove themselves. Like, you need to look outside of the box. I need you to look outside of the box right now because this is suggesting to me that there are many, many, many other things going on behind the scenes for you that are wrong. The way that you word your questions to me implies all of your damage. I can tell all of your damage just by seeing how you worded your question to me.
Mhm.
And speaking of questions, timelines,
Oh.
timelines. I hate doing them. I hate timelines. People get obsessed and fixated on, is Jerry gonna come see me in November on the 12th fucking day at dusk? What? What? Is this real life or what are we dealing with? Because when we're dealing with timelines, you do understand that what we're dealing with as well is things that are aligning in your birth chart with the astral symbolism and planetary alignments going on up there. That's how
Mhm.
we come to these general conclusions that something is happening around this time. It's because it was already aligned in the stars to be. So, yeah, there's an event that can come up to be, but your actions, your free will, and their choices all paved the way for this road here. So when you get obsessed and then you get butthurt when something's not going the way that you want it to go,
Mhm.
did you not do the work? Did you not do the healing? Are you still worried that they're going to cheat on you? Are you still worried about your body image issues? Are they still having lack of communication issues? Is there problems here? Take yourself out of the box and just pause. Pause.
Yeah.
To the chill to the motherfucking pill, baby. That's what I gotta say about it.
No, I agree. And I do think people get so fixated on the timelines and what is to come. And I think we may have talked about this on our last podcast, our last episode. Sorry, not podcast, episode. The Halloween episode. But your actions, like what you get from a reading, you're not really supposed to know. Your intuition will tell you what you're supposed to know. And if your intuition isn't telling you that, this is something that you're searching for. What you do with that information, or how you push it, or how you push your energy, or what you happen to do changes what's to come. And you hear a lot of let go and let be because you are trying to manipulate the energy that's already going to come, that was already in your favor. So when you try to
Exactly.
push it, you try to manipulate, you're changing it. You're pushing that timeline back. You're gonna put another obstacle saying, oh, you don't learn your lesson. We have another lesson in play before this person comes in. And
You
also
gotta let go of
understand that
control.
your person has their own issues and lessons and trauma. And they may not be ready. Just because you want them to come in doesn't mean that they're ready. And I think it's because you need to get out of a selfish lens. Get out of a selfish lens. Get out of a selfish lens. If you want love, get out of your own fucking selfish lens. Period. Period.
Period.
And I'm being a
You gotta
bitch
let go of
because I
control,
mean
baby.
it, but I'm being a bitch because I mean it. Get out of your own fucking way because you're the problem.
And sometimes you are. Sometimes you are the
And
problem.
most of the time, no,
I've been the
I'm
problem.
gonna say I feel like most of the time you are, because if you're like, when is this person coming? I'm tired of waiting. I'm tired of this. Your time frame, your person, isn't healed, and you still want them to come because you want them to come. You're the problem.
You're the
You should
problem.
unconditionally love your partner enough, knowing that they need the time and they need the space to heal themselves. If they don't want to do it and they don't want to come forward and they don't want to meet the qualifications that you're asking for, the expectations you have, why do you want them right now?
Yeah. Why would you do that to yourself? Like, why are you gonna openly put yourself through that? I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me because you're opening yourself back up to knowing that they have the potential to hurt you again because they aren't healed. And clearly you aren't healed too because you have some type of internal clock going
It's
off
usually
that's telling you it's
codependency.
doomsday is here.
And
So
it's
I
usually
definitely agree.
codependency. It's usually 100% codependency. You can't
Yes.
be on your own, or you want what you want. And it goes back to, you want what you want. But you have to understand, maybe you're not a good partner for them. If you have to keep pushing, maybe you're not a good partner for them right now. Or if you've come to the conclusion that you're not the problem and they're still not bringing it forward, maybe the issue is that they're not the person for you right now.
Right.
Like, you
Bingo.
have other things going on in life other than love, and this person that you are wanting to bring in as a romantic partner, you're merging a life, not all of it, but most of it, in a way together, that if you are trying to find another job or start a business or do school or do this and that, do you even have the time for a partner? Do you even have the time to understand their wants and needs? Like, you have to like understand that it's not the end all be all, but you're normally looking for validation from something or someone, and that's why it's an overdriving force for you. But I'll stop because I know I've kind of been a little bit mean. But I do feel like people don't understand when they come into a love reading what it's really about. And if you want somebody who's just like, yes, no, he's gonna come make you feel good. I'm not the reader for you, and this podcast probably isn't for you. Um, but that's just my last spiel.
Get it out, girl. That's what we're here to get it out about. So kind of looping this in to what we like, what we don't like. I am curious, like, what are you attracted to? What's your type?
Um,
Oh, and you can be,
you
yeah,
have
yeah,
like
totally.
you have to be intelligent and you have to be smart. If I can't have a
Yeah,
conversation with you about like anything and everything, or if I'm not intellectually stimulated by you, we're not going to work out. Like, I'm sorry, but it's just not going to happen. A sense of humor where you can laugh at yourself and you're not taking everything so seriously, but you're also like never taking anything seriously. Like, I need a happy medium. I need somebody who has a good sense of humor. I need somebody who can crack a joke. Um, I also am really attracted to people that have their own passions and ambitions. Like, you talking to me about whether it's like, oh my God, I love fixing cars, or I like reading about submarines, or whatever it is. When you talk about it and you're passionate about it and you have ambitions, whether it's you want to start your own business or you just want to finish building a piece of furniture, like that is so hot to me. Like,
ambition.
having that is like so hot to me. Um, I'm also attracted to people that are kind and are giving, and but at that same note, for me, I'm attracted to people that can be a little bit dominant. Like, I'm a dominant personality. I don't want to control anybody. I don't want to be the boss of anybody. I need somebody that can tango. So, like, if I'm being a smartass, I need you to like come at me that way.
Yeah,
If I'm being a jerk or being an asshole, I need you to tell me and kind of put me in my place. Not in an abusive way or anything like that, but in a way that's kind of like, hey, look, like you're kind of being extra. And I want somebody to, and I'm attracted to people that kind of bring up my shortcomings. So if you're really like I'm someone who wants to help all the time and I don't know how to say no. Or I need to rearrange my schedule and my time and I struggle with it. And they're like, hey, look, like you're really stressed out. Let's kind of do this. Or you've been working all the time. Like, let's get in the car and go somewhere. Let's do this. Like, somebody that can kind of put me in a shell or bring me out of it is like incredibly attractive to me. Um, but at the end of the day, I feel like intelligence and compassion and humor and understanding and letting people live their life no matter what they feel, do, believe, or whatever is incredibly important and attractive to me. Um, like height, I mean, always you kind of, I feel like most people want someone that's taller, but to me, it's like there are physical properties or characteristics that I think are beautiful, but at the end of the day, you can get into a car accident and you may not look the same. And is that the only thing I loved about you? Or you can have money all the time, but you can lose it just as much as you can have it. And I want somebody that doesn't care if they're rich or poor or broken or not with me. And the fact that you can have those qualities that like you're dependable, you're consistent, your word matters. Oh, 100%. I'm like ooey gooey and soaking wet for you. How about
dude,
you?
I I literally feel like you've said everything that I'm looking for because that cha-ching, 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 cha-ching. Like that's genuinely how I feel about it.
Mhm.
I don't need you to make a ton of money. Do I want you to be somewhere kind of somewhere on the same level as I do? Yeah, I don't want to be your fucking sugar mama, but I'm also not looking to fucking leech off of you like a parasite. I have my own drive, my own action, my own ambition, and my own things that I want to achieve in this lifetime. And I only want a partner who's going to uplift me and do the same exact thing with their life, with whatever they're passionate about. Um, I don't really care about looks that much. I care about bad teeth. That's a big
Oh
no.
yeah.
That's a big no. Um, that's about it. That is about
Oh,
it.
I
Like bad. Like
bad
I'm talking
teeth.
bad. You know,
Yeah, like
bad.
really, really bad teeth. I don't like dead eyes. Like I don't like dead eyes. And I'm sorry, Billie Eilish has dead eyes. Um, I don't like them.
So does that one dude, Pete something,
Oh, Pete Davidson.
dead eyes.
Is that yeah, I don't like dead eyes. And the other thing, and I know this is like kind of weird, if you swallow or eat too loud, or I can hear like your bodily functions, I'm out.
If you can't
I'm
control
out.
yourself,
And I will
you're done.
say this too. I'm not gonna say the size of your eggplant matters. Well, if you don't know how to use it, or you're hanging like if it's all around bad in that area, as much as I like you, I don't know if I could salvage that.
You gotta have a good sex game. I
Yeah,
agree.
you don't have
You
to
have to have
like
good sex with your
have the
partner.
best of everything, but you have to
Your
want
bodies have to be
to,
compatible with each other 100%. And not every body,
yeah.
you could be, you know, compatible communicatively, but if your bodies don't communicate right, they don't communicate right. And I think that we've all kind of gone through those horrible experiences. I've also had like a horrible dating experience once where it's like the guy like
Oh.
he seemed like he was like perfect and that he was interested in all of the right things, kind of like what you were talking about earlier. And
Well,
then when
get
I
you.
went on this date with this guy, and I was like, I literally feel like I'm on a date with a horseman right now. And not like a good horseman, like a bad horseman, like an obnoxious horseman that's also a demon. And I don't know how else to explain that, but that's what the experience was like. And I made some really questionable choices that night that I highly regret. And it was definitely a learning lesson, but it just revolts right back to online dating is absolutely awful. And this guy was like all about the wrong love language. He was attractive. We had good conversation, but like the love language was like, if you're understanding what I'm saying, I wanted to run away,
Hmm.
run, fleet, flat for the hills. And I never spoke to him again. What was your worst dating experience?
Okay, I'll make this story super condensed. Long story short, I was in college and um I was living in a dorm at the time, and um I was friends with this guy who was very, very nice. And his roommate, I guess, decided he had feelings for me. Um, and we're gonna call him Kurt Alex because he looks like Kurt from Glee.
Okay.
And long story short, and we'll do another episode where I tell you more about this dude because that's a whole story. But the worst date experience is that he made me always feel a little bit uncomfortable.
Mm.
And all of that, like I was really good friends with his roommate and their friends are like, hey, we want to go to a movie, and like, do you want to go? And invited me, and I was like, yeah, I never had time, so I was like, yeah, I want to go. And they're like, oh, okay, well, Kurt Alex is going to text you the details and everything else, so I didn't think anything of it. So it comes time to like go to the movie, and Kurt Alex knocks on my door and he's like, hey, are you still going to come to the movie? And I was like, yeah. He's like, hey, everyone's carpooling, but they're already in the car and they left, and so I wanted to like check with you to see if you wanted to like carpool, and we're going to go pick up another friend. And I was like, okay, no big deal. So we get in the car, and then on our way he was like, oh, hey, they said that they stopped and that they're eating, um but we're already on the other side because we're going to go pick up this friend, so they're going to be late. And I was like, okay. So we go to get the friend, and I guess like he fakes his phone, fakes a text or whatever, and says that the friend couldn't go, so we're not going to pick him up. And he's like, well, it's still going to be a little bit till the movie. And so, like, if I'm hungry, are you hungry? I go, I'm not hungry. But he's like, okay, well, we still have to like wait somewhere. And I was like getting really uncomfortable. So he ends up taking us to this restaurant, which you could tell was pre-planned because the table was away from everybody else, right? Away
Ah,
from everybody else. And we walk in and we're sitting there. And not only is this guy a gross eater, like smacking his mashed potatoes, like, "Nah, nah," and you could see it like slobber,
you
just
know
like
what?
absolute moving in his mouth like saliva. And I was so grossed out. And he's sitting there and he was like, so, like, asking me about my day. And he was like, so, you know, I see that you hang out with like this group of guys all the time. Like, what's that about? I'm like, huh? I was like, we're friends? And he goes, oh, okay. Well, I also know that you played the cello. Do you still play the cello? And I was like, well, how did he know that? And I was like, well, I just assumed he probably heard me and his roommate talk about it. And I was like, yeah, I still play the cello. And he was like, oh, okay. And he's like, well, my grandma used to love the cello or like loves the cello. And I was like, oh, she does. She loves the cello. And he goes, yeah, it's like her favorite and like all of this stuff. Then he goes and says, I know this may be a little forward, but like, would you play at her funeral? And I was like, what? And he's like, yeah,
What?
like she loved the cello. Would you play at her funeral? And I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry that your grandma passed. Like, I feel so bad. And he goes, well, she's not dead yet. She's just really old. So it could really be any time now. She's like in good health, but she's old. It's kind of her time, right?
What?
What the
What?
hell? So I'm sitting there and I'm just like, I'm like, okay, is it time to go or whatever? Now, mind you, when they were all trying to decide what movie we were going to go see, I said, I do not do horror. I do not do scary movies. I will see anything else. That's just not something I want to do. And mind you, it was a little sus that like we had to drive like 30 minutes to like I don't know if you guys are familiar like with Austin, but we had to like drive like oh my God, I want to call it Cedar Point, but that's not right. But we had to drive like 30 minutes to like this like little kind of ritzy area that has like this outdoor shopping center. And I was like, we already had to drive 30 minutes, which is like a little weird to me. And so we get there, we're getting ready to go into the movie, and he's like, oh my gosh, they said that they're not going to come, that they couldn't make it. So this guy had planned it all out that we were going to go see a movie and have dinner like a date. Like he did this as a date. I didn't know it was a date. And he takes me to see at this time, I think it was like Paranormal 2 or 3 or something at this point. Um, or the first one. I don't fucking know. It was one of those. And we go in and I'm like panicking. I was like, I don't like scary movies. I'm here with you. You're a freak. Luckily, our seats were next to like these frat guys that were so drunk, right? So I'm sitting next to them. And when we sit down, Kurt Alex sat there and he's like, oh, I have to go to the restroom. I'll be back. Well, I've been trying to text my roommate this whole time. I've been trying to text Kaki and being like, hey, can you come get me? Like, is there anybody that can come get me? Like, SOS, 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 like, emergency. Like, and she wasn't responding. And I was like, oh my God. So while he went out for a minute, the one of the frat dudes next door or next to me was like, hey, what's going on? I'm like, hey, this guy like took me on a date or whatever this is. I don't really want to be with him. He's really, really weird. Like, I know that you guys are drunk, but I just like want to let you know, like, I'm really uncomfortable. Right. And he was like, well, yeah, I could tell. That's why I asked if something was wrong with you. And he's like, when he comes back, I'm gonna like try to swap seats with you. So we swap seats, right? So one of the frat dudes is sitting here, and then I'm sandwiched between them. So when Kurt Alex
Gotcha.
comes back, he was like, well, where are you? What are you doing? And I was like, oh yeah, like we had to switch, like we're holding a seat for something. He's like, okay. So he keeps looking over, are we gonna switch back? So he's trying to reach over the dude to like try to touch my leg, to try to touch my hand and my thigh. The drunk guy's sitting there like
Yo.
swatting him. Like, so like the frat guy's sitting there like swatting his hand, being like, what's wrong with you? And so then finally the movie, like I'm scared. So at this point, I convinced myself to pass out. So I have fallen asleep on the other frat dude guy's like shoulder. I've passed out because I don't want to watch this. I don't like it. So then the movie ends and Kurt Alice is like, hey, we're gonna go. I'm like, hey, I'm actually getting a ride with them. I rather take my chances in a car with these bros than with you. So he ends up leaving, and I purposely don't talk to him for a couple weeks, but at the end of the he ends up like like leaving a note on my door that was like, I really thought our first date would have gone better than that. I don't understand like why you're not interested in me, why you wouldn't talk to me, all of this stuff. And I'm like, one, it wasn't a date. Two, this was the most atrocious thing I've ever been on. The fact that I want to be with drunk frat guys, asking them to protect me when women run from them like they're
That
safe.
says everything
Like
you need to
this was
know.
awful. It was the worst first date ever, 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 ever. And I'm gonna call it that because he felt like it was the date. That was the worst first day. Like it was the worst date in history.
The worst date in history. Ah, so the next segment we have, I know we're gonna have to probably edit this part out. We're kind of coming up to the end here. So
Well, here's what I was thinking.
want to cut it?
Um, I think we need to do two parts. So I say like since this is a really long episode,
It
we'll have
is.
like part one and then part two. So I
Okay.
think we can like we'll cut it somewhere in here, but we can finish out the tarot card. We can finish out the rest of this and we'll just like kind of cut it in half and then we'll do like a voice thing saying like, hey, part two. So this
Yeah.
also gives us like something else to like release, but it's a very,
Agreed.
very long episode.
It is. So, all right, let's see
I
here.
need
We're
to make a
talking about
note.
we're talking about the Two of Cups.
Oh, I think I have like a traditional.
It'll just be good to show them a couple of different examples of like just even how artist illustration depicts these cards so differently. So how it's important for you to use your intuition. Also, I do need to take a second and put my charger on too, because my shit's about to die.
I'm sorry. I wish I knew that we had to end the thing for the recording to pop up.
Where the fuck is the goddamn Two of Cups? Do you have a traditional deck out?
Yeah.
Okay. Hold on. Well, maybe I shouldn't. Oh, charge
I do.
it. I'm at 14%. Okay. Um, I don't know what to do here. I guess we'll just wing it and hope that my phone doesn't die. Because I'm gonna have to rearrange my lighting in order to put this on another charger. And I don't want to unplug my mic.
Well, that's fine. Like after this, well, that's fine because like after we wrap this episode, like take a break, eat, do whatever you got to do. We can talk about that after.
Okay. All right. And where did that card just go? All right. Well, fuck it. I guess it's lost. We'll just talk about this one because I don't know what I do with it, and I'm not going to continue to look for it.
Okay.
That's annoying. I mean, I literally, it was just in my fucking hands. But whatever. If I don't stop looking, my ADHD will fix it on it. So, okay. All right. Sir, how do you want to start this off?
Okay, so we can just kind of say, um, so something that we like, scratch that. Okay. So as you all know, Zen and Juice, we're readers, and we feel like it's really important that we kind of talk about a divination tool or a tarot of the day. So this segment we're calling um the tarot card of the day.
And
I don't
the
know, how do you
tarot
want to
card of
do
the
it?
day is
Okay, how do you want to like segue into it?
I don't know.
Or like this, okay, this episode is sponsored, or this episode is brought to you by the Two of Cups.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's good. That's good. I like that. I like that. That's
Okay,
very good.
here we go.
Okay, here we go.
Okay. And with that being said, and this episode is brought to you by the Two of Cups, which is our tarot card of the day.
The Two of Cups, which is totally symbolic of everything that we've talked about here with
Mhm.
relationships and love, because it is just the ultimate card of unity, love, compatibility,
Mhm.
um, happy couples, harmony, balance, attraction, equality, you filling up my cup just as much as I'm filling your cup up, and having it be that ebb and flow that's kind of in
Mhm.
between.
And for those of you all that are listening and may not be seeing us, if you look at their traditional like Rider Waite deck, you have a male and a female that are looking at each other, and they're both holding a cup. And then you also see like a unity symbol, right? Well, Meg, you're more of
Yeah, hold
the
on.
like.
Let me get the hold on. Let me get out the OG deck, which is what I should have done in the beginning, and I didn't because my brain's starting to fog.
Looks like this, Meg.
Um, this is like is yours a Rider Waite?
Yeah.
Because the one deck that I have
Well, it's not
out,
the traditional colors, but
yeah, that was the one thing I wanted to do like a brief overview on. Hold on, it's got to be somewhere close. That's so annoying. I hate when
well,
that happens to me. Like I'm looking for a card in the deck, and then it's always the very last card. And if I would have just turned the deck the other direction, I would have half the time gone. Okay, so when it comes to the Two of Cups, there's a couple of things here in the card that I just want to show you and talk about. And I feel like this is important for you to understand when you're dealing with all tarot cards. So in this particular edition, we see that there's a blue background going on. Same with this, but not all decks are that way. So that blue energy, that blue color is going to represent peace, tranquility, optimism, love, harmony, balance. And when we look at this, we are dealing with entities that could be tempted here by multiple things. And when we see the snakes, it's saying, I have knowledge, I have sacred knowledge that I want to fill my cup up, and you want to fill my cup up. But with the snake also being representative there, it's saying that I am kind of acknowledged, I am openly deflecting all temptation that comes my way. Okay. So I'm actively choosing to be brave and say that no matter what comes my way, no what other temptation or people or distractions that come my way, the only thing that matters is right here. It's these two people that are in this cup. And that is what this is all about, is pouring the same level of equality in one cup into another, and saying there could be other things out there that are interesting that I may like, but nothing will beat me giving my cup to you and your cup to me. That's kind of my symbolism on that.
And like upright, um, it talks about like unity, but also if I know that there are some folks that read upright and then use clarifiers, and then there are some that like to read reversals. And so the Two of Cups in reverse, like although upright it talks about harmony, in reverse it talks about disharmony, disconnection, imbalance, inequality, unhappy couple, arguments, separation, divorce, two people not being compatible, endings of relationships, or friendships, or dominance or bullying, etc. And I know the Two of Cups comes out really popular in love readings, or people always like want to say, okay, the Two of Cups like symbols love. It's in any reading, right? Like whether it's
Right.
career, money, etc. But while this episode is about love, I think it's important to say, like, when you find this in the upright position, this can talk about, what is it? Proposals, soulmates.
Marriage, a bunch of different things like that.
Mhm. And then in reverse, it doesn't always mean there's 100% of an ending, which is like why I know the way that Meg chooses to read and myself is like clarifying to clarify, okay, why is this in reverse or why is this upright? Like sometimes this could be upright and then you could have the Seven of Swords next to it, or you could have something else next to it, or this could be in reverse, but next to it it talks about the Six of Swords and it talks about um what is it, the Judgment, and like reconciling, like kind of like working through the issues and the difficulties. um so it's important that you clarify, but normally if you're doing like a card and you're pulling this for yourself, it depends on the question that you ask. um but it's
Yes.
normally upright, a very positive, very positive.
Yep. Upright, it's normally a very, very, very positive card. And if you see the Two of Cups coming out in reversal, automatic red flag. If you see a Three of Swords come out, if you're clarifying instead of using reversals, okay, we need to touch a little bit more in depth, because this is clearly not telling us that this Two of Cups is the right Two of Cups for us, which takes me back to what I'm talking about with the temptation of the snake. Like, are you being tempted towards the right thing? This is what it all comes back to, is trying to gain that sacred knowledge to make the right choice to have the most compatible partner for you, and deciphering love from lust. So
Yeah.
curious here, when it comes to things being controversial, like the Two of Cups, it's not always a card of love. What sort of advice do you feel like you've been given when it comes to love that is just like caca no bueno? Like, what is your
So this one's very controversial. But it's the if he wanted to, he would, or if they wanted to, he would.
Uh,
Um, I feel like this could go either way. I feel like this is a very blurry, trying to be all-encompassing statement because it's true. Like, part of it is true, right? Like, if I wanted to call you, I would call you. If I wanted to text you, I would. That is assuming that life has stopped. This is the only thing happening. I will say that that works if you have somebody who is one in a healthy mindset right now, somebody who is in a place of really wanting to like work on the partnership or is in a clear mind. It isn't that easy. And I don't think that just because somebody wants to do something always means that they can do something. And I feel like
right.
that can be a very damaging statement. I feel like in some cases that's applicable, like, hey, I hung out with this guy. If he wanted to text me the next day, he would. Okay, that's peace. But saying that this guy, he would take me out, he would propose to me, he would do this and this and this, if he doesn't have anything else going in his life, granted, yeah, if he wanted to, he would do that. But most people are more complex than that. Having somebody that has deep down trauma, PTSD, some sort, and I don't like using the word mental illness, but somebody that has some sort of um mental developmental issues, or even that's not the right word, but like they
Ailment.
may have conditions. Yeah, they may have a mental ailment that keeps them from doing that. Or they may have so much going on in their life right now, and it's not that they don't want to, they want to be with you, they just can't. Or let's say, like, hey, I really like this guy. I really wanted to go out on a date with him, but I have such issues with my body. As much as I really want to see this guy, I just don't feel like he's going to like me. I just can't do it. I can't go out. I have social anxiety. I want to so bad. I just can't get myself to do it. It doesn't mean that I don't want to go. I just cannot do it. There's other instances. Um, or there's somebody who never was really loved growing up, doesn't know nurturing, doesn't understand the I love you, doesn't understand how to love you the way that you want to be loved. And you're asking them to do something that they physically, mentally, emotionally are not capable of. So you have to understand, like, is it, and I'm not trying to like, if you believe in he wanted to, he would, I'm not trying to change your mind. Just for me, it's controversial because I think it's trying to simplify things when being in a relationship with somebody who had complex PTSD from being a war vet and having his own issues. I could tell this guy wanted to love me, but he has demons
Yeah.
and couldn't do a lot of the things that I wanted. Like, I love musicals. I want to go, and the crowds like freak him out. And I was like, well, if you wanted to like do things, you would do. Like, there are certain things that I don't fully understand, and I'm not making an excuse, but I'm saying like there are people that come with some wounds that it doesn't matter as much as they want to. Sometimes they run because that is their innate thing. Sometimes they do certain things. So for me, that is super controversial, but I personally do not agree with if he wanted to, he would. I think it's more complex than that, and I think it depends on the situation and who you're dealing with.
I agree. I completely agree with you. It completely involves around that. And I think that piggybacking off of that, advice that I hate as well is that you have to make things work with somebody. No, the fuck you don't. No, you don't. No, you don't have to make things work with somebody. I don't care if you've been with them for 3 months, 3 years, 30 years. Who tells you that you have to do that? Your finances, God,
Hmm.
people around you. If you are in an unhealthy relationship, if you are in a toxic relationship, if it deters your mental image of yourself, or if it makes that heightened and worse, it is not meant for you at this time. Remove yourself from the situation and go learn how to be happy, because nobody
Hmm.
needs to go through that type of mental. entrapment every single day. Nobody deserves that. And that's my piece on that.
One that I think is interesting that I just want to bring up real quick because we're talking about the Notebook. Um,
Hey, I got
is
7%.
I've been told, you know, where it's like if you have to find somebody who has money, you have to find someone who can take care of you. If he has a job, a good job, he
Ah,
can provide, he can do this, that's who you need to choose. And I think that it's like, why do I have to choose somebody to take care of me? Like, oh, because he has money and a good job, that's who you need to be with. Love doesn't like work like that. And I think that that's also been, I think that's advice. I've seen people that come to me for readings that that's what they're looking for. And I'm like, whether this person has money or they're good looking, or it doesn't mean they're going to give you their money, doesn't mean that you match what they're looking for. Doesn't, what are you bringing to the table too? And money and titles and things bring on more issues because people that
yes.
normally can buy whatever they want, they can buy women whenever they want. And I don't think people fully understand that. So I will say I do not agree with it has to be stable, good pedigree, good education, has money. I think that is just as flawed as the opposite.
Agree. I totally agree with you. It's a completely flawed thing. And also not to mention like I know not every woman views it this way, but I I want something of my own. Like I get it, like things are ours, like our bank account, our this, our that. But that's his job, not your job. What about mine? What is mine? What is my piece? I never want that to go away. And I've experienced what it's like to be in a marriage where you don't have that. So I'm not entertaining it anytime soon or ever again.
Yeah. Well, something I thought that would be fun to kind of close, like give us a cute little ending before we say our adieus, our farewell to you all. Um, are a couple of poems that, and not like I'm just going to read a few that I found on the internet that I think are very profound. One of them says, men are like public toilets. They are either engaged or full of shit.
I
I
like
like
your
your style. Oh, go ahead, you do it.
do you want to do like every other one?
Yeah,
Okay.
go.
I like your style. I like your class. But most of all, baby, I like that ass.
Hey.
Hey.
This one is called I Love You. I love your lips when they're wet with wine and red with wild desire. I love your eyes when the love light lies, lit with passion and fire. I love your arms when they're warm white with flesh, touches mine with fond embrace. I love your hair when it stands a mesh, your kiss against my face. Not for me, a cool, calm kiss, but for you, passion and bloodless desire. Give to me the love that freely gives to you. So kiss me sweet with your warm, wet mouth, still fond with ruby red wine, and say that I am your forever and you are mine. Come down south, let's clap our hands and come together with with warm embrace in the love of living of our embrace.
In your arms, you hold me tight, never letting me go through the night. All my dreams are peaceful because of you, holding me in your arms like you do. Your lips are as sweet as ever, and I wish to kiss them forever. My heart beat only for you, holding me in your arms like you do. When we met, I knew it was fate. I had found my one true soulmate. As I look in your loving eyes, knowing your love will never die. So hold me in your warm embrace, in your arms, I'll be no other place. To be one with you, I love, which is you. Hold me in your arms like you do.
So profound.
Profound.
Roses are red. Roses are red. Violets are corny. When I think of you, oh baby, I get horny. Eat me, beat me, bite me, blow me, suck me, fuck me, very slowly. If you kiss me, don't be sassy. Use your tongue and make it nasty.
Roses are red, violets are blue. I am in love, but it is not with you. When we broke up, you thought I cried, but all it was another guy. You told your friends that I was a trick. I told mine that you had a weak dick. I said I loved you. You thought it was true. But guess what, baby? You got played too. Yay!
Bounce of applause.
Oh,
Wait, no, it snaps. It snaps.
oh. Snap, 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 snap.
Well, everyone, I hope that you loved our episode all about love. So, Love Unfiltered. Actually, Love Unfiltered Part 2, because
Love and filter part
as we
two.
end this, as we're ending this, this will be the second part. So, I hope you loved the first part, and I also hope you equally loved the second part just as much. Um, we'll give you a little teaser to the next episode in a week or two, but we love you guys, and we hope that you have a great afternoon or night or morning, however you're deciding to listen to us, in the shower, in the tub, in the car, or in bed. So we'll talk soon. Ciao.
Bye.